Vanakkam Deshmukh ji. So your survey says a huge statement that in Tamil Nadu, ruling DMK Congress alliance is a winning alliance. Can you brief something about that?
You see, it's a tracker that we run 365 days a year, and twice a year we come with the Mood of the Nation with India Today group. That is something which is almost running more than 20 years now. It's an institutional thing. And the idea is to basically keep a track what is happening in which states. And in Tamil Nadu, as far as our data shows, it simply says that DMK alliance is still in the lead, is the front runner, and the opposition is still in the disarray. So there is a virtual split of vote between the BJP-led NDA and AIA-DMK alliance. And for the first time, I am also finding out that as far as the Lok Sabha voting intention is concerned, actually BJP-led NDA's vote is coming out more than the AIA-DMK alliance. That's a very interesting phenomena. But that's not the case as far as the Vidhan Sabha voting intention is concerned. While in Vidhan Sabha voting, the DMK still has a huge advantage over everybody else. But over there, the new entrant of, is making a much bigger statement, and Vijay, and his numbers are in a weekly tracker. Sometimes it is 8-9%, sometimes it goes up to 14-15%, but he is gaining a lot of traction. So Tamil Nadu in many ways is actually there are the one side DMK is just holding, making the strong grip that has on the state, but on the other hand a lot of churning is taking place as far as the opposition space is concerned.
So what is the present situation of DMK Congress alliance? Can you brief something?
For the Lok Sabha voting that we have done the calculation,
So
they
they are
are
having
still
39 seats in Tamil Nadu.
yeah. So the DMK alliance is still getting more than 50% votes. So that is a huge number. I mean, in the first past the post system, not every party manages to win more than 50% votes. In the state, they manage to win huge number of seats, but in this system you can win huge number of seats even if you are polling 40%, but if you are crossing 50% vote, that's a complete majoritarian statement. So from that perspective it is very impressive, definitely very impressive. And considering the fact that they are now in the power in the state, there are murmurs of anti-incumbency, no doubt about that, but that anti-incumbency somehow is more localized at the local level. That means against the MPs and against the MLAs, but not at the leadership level. And that is something which should be good, considered good for the DMK. But they need to be very, very careful, because many a times we have seen that leadership is extremely popular, but when the MLAs are or MPs are not performing, all of a sudden in a very small time the tide turns, as we have seen in the case of Odisha, where the Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik was constantly number one, still very ranges, and BJP was there without even a chief ministerial face. But just because there was so much of anti-incumbency against Naveen Patnaik's MLAs and MPs, that it did cost them dearly. So DMK needs to be very, very careful from here onwards.
So in the present scenario, if the Lok Sabha election will happen in Tamil Nadu, what will DMK and Congress alliance? How many seats they will gain? Because we are having 39 seats in Tamil Nadu.
I think if today the elections happen, they are going to win 39, all of them. I mean, there are only 2 seats I can say that where the BJP has actually a very striking chance of gripping on these, and those are traditional seats. No big deal in that. But given a chance, as on today, if the elections are happening, probably they are going to win 39-0
So
again.
you are naming BJP in Tamil Nadu. What happened to ADMK and ADMK alliance? What is the percentage of votes they are going to share?
So, as I mentioned, that in the Lok Sabha voting intention, the BJP-led alliance is actually scoring over the AIADMK alliance. But as far as the Vidhan Sabha voting intent is concerned, BJP is still far behind. There is almost 10% gap as far as the Lok Sabha voting intent and the Vidhan Sabha voting intent of the BJP is concerned. So, BJP still has a really long way to catch up. They have made gains, no doubt about that, but is still not there as the default party of opposition, and Dravidian politics is gonna stay there. AIADMK on the other hand, even though they are down and knocked out at this point of time, they are looking like that, but they have their infrastructure, their party cadre and everybody in there. So still, even in the worst possible scenario when Jayalalitha ji is not there, there is still their cadre is there, AIADMK cadre is there. So at some point of time, whenever
So you are talking about cadres, not leaders.
exactly, Yeah, exactly the problem. Yes, you have hammered it absolutely on us. So there is a structure which has a cadre, but there is not a leader as such. On the other hand, with the Vijay thing, it's only leader, not really cadre. He has fans, but he doesn't have a cadre of the or party organization which could probably convert that fan base or momentum into actual vote. And this, by the way, you remember we have seen even in the case of Rajnikantji. When he started, I mean, initially also his numbers were really trending around 15%, 20%, but then fan base is different and cadre mobilization is different, and this is why at some point of time when the numbers in our tracker started going down and we were reporting that, he very prudently opted out of politics. He did not really enter the politics. It was a good decision for him, So yeah, the difference between cadre and the leadership, that is something very distinct. BJP has a long way to go. It has made some interesting gains, no doubt about that, under Annamalai, but it is still it's a long-term project for them.
Why ADMK's vote share is going down?
Well, I think first of all, as you mentioned, the cadre is there, but the leadership is not there. So, in the lack of leadership as such, people look out for alternatives, and then anybody who is taking an anti-establishment stand would look like a stronger position. So, if Annamalai takes a very strong anti-DMK establishment stand, many people might like to think, okay, now Vijay is entering the fray. If he takes a very good anti-DMK stand, he stands to gain from that. Question is whether these people are going to contest in future separately or they are gonna strike some deal together to make it look like a bipolar. Because you remember, Tamil Nadu has been a bipolar state largely, but it doesn't mean that there are not a fractured level party splits. And Tamil Nadu parties are known to have their very strong caste based vote shares and like that. And good for Tamil Nadu that they have been somehow this camp or that camp, they have been coming together so that huge majority of the voters do not have any confusion whatsoever. They go for a bipolarity in the state. But now that there is a triangular or quadrangular possibility, that will only and only help DMK, because they are sitting pretty right now with 50% votes, Unless that at some point of time the natural incumbency starts pulling them down, which will happen. I mean, I'm not saying that no party, no politician is permanently gonna have that kind of a high thing. But when you go down, there should be a strong opposition to take advantage of that. Fortunately for DMK, even if they go down right now from here, the opposition is so scattered that they are not in a position to take advantage of
So
that.
you are telling that there is no strong opposition in Tamil Nadu?
There is no strong opposition. There is no unified and strong enough opposition in Tamil Nadu to take advantage of the anti-incumbency in any case. But to give due credit, credit where due, Mr. Stalin as the chief minister, his popularity ratings are very high. Consistently, he has been in the top 5 chief ministers rating, that we pull out every 6 months. He has never gone, ever since he has taken over as chief minister, he has never gone out of the top 5, So that's a big deal. It's not a small thing to happen because, there are, consider it that way. When you talk about people that, okay, whom do you think all India is the most successful chief minister? Big number of people, because of the BJP's cadre, take name of Mr. Yogi Adityanath. But when you talk about within the state approval rating, Mr. Adityanath doesn't really come into top 10. So consider it from that perspective, that Mr. Stalin's name not only appears in the top 5 in the all India thing, but also appears in the top 5 when you are talking about their own approval rating within their own states. That is very credible, So I think at this point of time, he is sitting pretty. Good approval rating, people are liking him, but at the same time, I must warn, there is a huge anti-incumbency bubble building up as far as the working of MLAs is concerned, working of member of parliaments is concerned. That is something they need to be very, very concerned about. It is their good luck that the position is so weak and fragmented, they are not in a position to actually raise that issue. Fortunately for Mr. Stalin, there is one more thing. Somehow the campaign of opposition is anti-Stalin. It's not anti-DMK. The problem is something like at the national level. The Congress campaign is against Mr. Modi, not against the BJP. People have issues with the BJP member of parliaments and MLAs. But when you attack Mr. Modi, it is not of no useful to you. Similarly, in Tamil Nadu, if you attack Mr. Stalin, it is not going to be any use to the opposition. But they are attacking Mr. Stalin. They are not attacking the sitting MLAs or MPs who are working, because to attack them, you have to actually work on the ground. The problem with the opposition right now is that they are not really strongly working on the ground against the government. So that is their handicap. Mr. Stalin is sitting pretty right now.
See, we talked about the Lok Sabha elections. The 2026, the assembly elections is going to come in 2026. What will the result of the assembly election?
Well, we have done calculation right now for the Lok Sabha. We will be coming out with the.
Will continue?
Yeah, this will continue, but I mean, largely speaking, we'll come out with the state trackers very soon, and then you will get an assessment. But what I feel that the Lok Sabha and assembly voting intents are a bit different. But from the DMK perspective, more or less their voting is the same as far the Lok Sabha and the assembly is concerned. All right. Only problem with the opposition thing is that BJP people in the Lok Sabha and opposition vote, they are would inclined to vote for the BJP. They still do not find BJP as a pretty strong choice which can replace AIADMK. So AIADMK vote share in the among the opposition bloc for the assembly election goes up. You know, for in the Lok Sabha intent, the BJP goes up. But as long as they are contesting separately, as long as there is no understanding between BJP and AIADMK and Vijay, I don't think there is any issue at this point of time with the DMK, because if they are voting 50% at that kind of a block, one is comfortable. But that comfort is coming only from the good popularity of Mr. Stalin and the DMK cadre, not because of the working of the MLAs and MPs. They need to worry about that.
So, what is the area which Stalin has to concentrate on?
Well, I think he needs to seriously take auditing of all his sitting MLAs and MPs working. You know, it's a very human error that takes in place when people win in waves. You know, last time there was a DMK wave, if you put it that way. Lok Sabha also, Vidhan Sabha. When you start winning in waves, sometimes the MPs and MLA really start feeling like we don't really have to work. You know, our leadership is good enough. But I want to remind them, there was a Modi wave, but when his member of parliament stopped working, look what happened in Uttar Pradesh with the BJP. You know, even at the peak of, there is number one Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath as a popularity, number one Prime Ministerial candidate Mr. Modi as a popularity. But look what happened in Uttar Pradesh. Because they were not bothered about the working of their sitting MPs. Their sitting MPs were winning in waves, and they were least bothered about working on the ground. And look what happened. It took them by surprise, and this is why they learned their lesson very quickly. Haryana, Maharashtra, or for that matter Delhi did not happen overnight. You see, one good thing, you may like or you may dislike, you may love Modi or you may hate Modi, you have to give one thing, that BJP and Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah, they are very quick learners. They learn from their mistakes very quickly, and then they implement it very quickly. You know, there was no way the kind of Lok Sabha result that you got from Maharashtra, BJP winning more than 200 seats, there was no way possible in normal circumstances. But they went after that in a very meticulous way. There was no way winning Haryana, but they went after that in an organization or a way. Look what they did in Delhi, how meticulous they were. Even though Arvind Kejriwal polled 44%, and that's not a small number. Please remember, after being 10 years in power, you are polling 44%, it's not a small number. But the meticulous planning that they do, it's important. So what I'm simply trying to say, BJP paid the price of negligence at the MPs and MLAs level in UP big time, and they learnt very quickly. It's better to learn from others' errors rather than learning from your own error. So I think DMK needs to be very careful on that.
So what is the present situation of Vijay's party? Because within some couple of months only happened, Vijay has come up with the party. So do you think there will be impact on the DMK Congress winnability in assembly election?
Well, at this point of time, it seems like he is picking up the opposition. Whatever gains he is making, it is coming mostly from the opposition side, less from the DMK side. So let me put it this way. If he is gaining 10 votes, out of 10, almost 6 or 7 are coming from the opposition, only 3 or 4 coming from the DMK. You know, so the bigger damage is to the opposition. But it's a phenomena, you know, it's not a small thing. It totally depends how he plays out, how he positions himself in this state politics. He has to take stands on many of the issues, Dravidian as well as national. It's not that Dravidian politics, I understand, is different, but it is not that different that anything national level politics will not impact them. So, so far DMK has very carefully managed that. They are catering to the Dravidian politics and the national politics in a very nice way. It depends on how Vijay takes it from here. If he positions properly, goes for, understands his lack of organizational capacity, goes for some alliances, then he may click somewhere. But it's still a long way. We don't know yet. We don't know yet. That's the honest answer. We don't know yet.
So last question: people of Tamil Nadu has faith on the DMK leader and the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin?
Well, absolutely yes. As far as our numbers are showing, that is very clear that even after these many years in power, people in Tamil Nadu right now at this point of time have faith in Mr. Stalin's leadership. But at the same time, they are also showing anger against the sitting MLAs and MPs. So they need to be carefully trading in. And also at some point of time, because in future politics we are looking at the succession as well, you know, that in Stalin's succession at some point of time, he is still not there. He is not as popular as his father or grandfather. You see, there is an attrition of sort. He has a good traction, no doubt, among the youngsters, youth. He has a traction. But as you know, sometimes you have to work harder than your father, even more harder than your grandfather, just to keep the traction with you, just to prove yourself. And sometimes it is unfair to many youngsters. I understand that, because they are always compared with their father and grandfather, but that puts the onus on him more, that he has to work even much more harder in order to ascertain and tell that, okay, I am as good as my dad or as good as my granddad.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.